Hi guys. I look a bit tired. I'm gonna do my hair is crazy. Wait. I'm gonna do a reading that a viewer recommended to do one on Big Sean, and this is an artist that I think I'd heard his music, but I wasn't familiar with matching the music to the artist, or the sound of it sounded familiar. And then I watched a music video of his, Zen the Fuck Out. I thought it was really cool. So I'm really happy that the viewer recommended this as a reading to do. I'm happy to do that. So I'm just going to tune into his energy and shuffle some cards. If anybody else has a celebrity that they want me to do a tarot spread on, please go ahead and recommend them, because it's really fun to be introduced to new artists and creators that I've never heard of, and discover them and see what kind of advice comes through. Even though the reading's about somebody else, sometimes the advice is helpful for anyone. For me, it's you can kind of get a glimpse of their perspective in life, and it's kind of fascinating. So, all right. Yeah, I feel like as I'm shuffling, I can feel his kind of awareness of the reading, and he has some spiritual abilities. And I get chills right after I say that too. Pardon me if I sniffle. Sometimes when I channel and do this work, it activates it's like an energy, so it activates you physically, and it makes my sinuses kind of wake up, and so it's a bit. I hope it's not going to bother you that I sniffle sometimes. Okay. Oops. Okay. It's interesting, I picked up the Tarot of Sexual Magic upside down, so that's a message of some kind, either he's abstaining right now, or and maybe ending a relationship, possibly. We'll see what that has to say. I get some Ascended Masters. Okay, there's a lot of Ascended Masters that came out. Perhaps he's good at, praying for help. Yeah, I get chills when I say that. So it's nice to do a reading on an artist that has some active spiritual interests, because it's they're really present. Oops. Okay. And is that it? Is that all I want to do? Okay. So I'll just start. If I need to clarify something, I'll jump back in and get another card. I have a lot of cards here. I'm going to start with the Rumi card. Why not? Just to keep it broad for the first card. So, enter the Garden of Delights. Yeah, he really, I get a lot of heavy downloads of this energy when I'm working on this. So it's really cool. Whew. All right. Yeah, I feel like he's interested in manifesting, and spends some time navigating those energies, and he has like, okay, that's really like a lot of downloads, so it's interrupting my speech. Just give me a second. Maybe if I look at the card, it'll relax me a bit. Yeah, I feel like he has good instincts on his own, but he has a couple of people around him who are like really into manifesting in a manipulative kind of way, like you know the difference between doing something spiritual like as a tool and then doing something from the perspective of God, like allowing God to like take the wheel and direct things. So sure, there's many manifesting tools that people teach like on TikTok or this or that. You could know people who are like have done well, like in terms of finances, in terms of manifestation. And these people are like really present in his life, but I feel like their energy is like either self-serving or yeah. So it's kind of, it doesn't affect him creatively that these people are, oh my gosh, around. I'll just see what that card was that got knocked over. Princess of Cups. Okay. So maybe that means it's like a woman. One of them might be like a woman that is romantically in his life. So, okay. Sorry, it's like really, it's very strong energy, and there's a lot of like mixed like messages of like different feelings and frequencies that come through when I focus on him. So continuing with that, like it seems like there's these two people, maybe perhaps one of them is, because this card jumped off the table, the Princess of Cups. So it's like someone who's not like a completely mature, like Empress type woman. It's like, you know, maybe they're younger than him, and they're offering, well, I'll show you the card. They're offering like love and like sex and whatever, you know, like as the card kind of appears. You know, and they say like you are who you hang out with. So it can really affect, you know, you could rationalize like, oh, I'm just dating these people, or you know, this is just my friend with benefits, or you know, you can play it lightly, like the people that you're hanging out with. But in actual fact, like if you look at it spiritually, like they're coloring your world. Like even if you can rationalize they're not a big part of your life, let's say, they're still in your life. You're in their energy. You're connecting with them. Like you can spend all the time you want, like trying to define it in terms of like how you choose to like describe that relationship. Nonetheless, there you are exchanging energies with them, and they're like in your life. You know what I mean? So I would say that like it might be interesting for him to get to know himself in terms of like how the people he really wants to be around him and the energies he wishes to exchange with, and to be like to fine tune that a bit, or take the necessary steps to like be in situations where he can defend his energy so that he's not being exploited, or because if you think of like people, like there can be like really good looking, like attractive people that aren't good for you, you know. I mean, it sounds kind of obvious, but like someone can seem like they have it all together or whatever, and the effect that they have on you specifically isn't like good, you know. And so you can have a crush on someone or be attracted to them like for whatever reason, but like they actually might be more trouble than they're worth in some cases. I'm not saying like don't be around someone beautiful. I'm just saying like certain people who present themselves well publicly, or you know, they might be the most attractive person in the room, whatever, but they might not be like for you specifically the best person, you know, and it could be like years of frustration or, and there might be a slight element of it like where, I mean, I feel like his self-esteem is very good, but he might be compromising a little bit, like a bit of his what's important to him. Sorry, what's the word? Values. He might be compromising like a value just for the sake of this relationship or affair or whatever it might be. I don't know him well enough to know like if he's in like a marriage or has a steady girlfriend or whatever, but like I'm just picking up these energies around him. It feels like someone who isn't like in his life 24/7, but is someone who like it's their mission, like her mission to be in his life, and like they spend a lot of money and time on like beauty treatments and etc. to be like the best looking person in the room kind of thing. And they maybe watch videos on how like to be alluring or to, you know, do well in dating and stuff like that. Yeah, so I would sort of say like this card sort of depicts like heaven on earth type of thing, like having it all now, like, and I feel like for the most part, yes, like 85%, but I do feel like there are a couple of dark figures in there who kind of like magnets can draw selfishly like his energy and kind of diminish his experience. It's better to spend time with people who are also like emitting like beauty, unconditional love, like freedom, creativity. Because if you think of having a blessed life, it's like you're not throwing up any blockages to what God wants to just rush in to your life. And so, and one of the blocks could be like a person who's in your life who feels a lack of some kind, like feels the need to team up with someone who has no resistance to God's blessings. And then they want to be like, have like it's like, this is a really stupid example, but let's say he has like a shower stall that has 2 spouts and he's like in there like having a great shower, and then this person just wants to get in their shower and have like his water like from his house, like all the blessings rain down. Anyway, whatever, that's my example, but it's like I just don't want him to diminish this beautiful experience that he is creating for himself just because like there might be some person in his life who's attractive who like wants his time and whatever, but there's so many attractive people in the world, like it's ridiculous. So if there's someone who's kind of bugging you or diminishing the value of like your daily experience, I think you can safely just trust that like something better, you know, can be there, or like take 5 from that person and let them grow up a bit, and maybe they'll come back with unconditional love. Like, you know, like it's not your job to like teach everybody how to ascend, you know. I mean, I guess by doing this reading, I'm kind of teaching some stuff, but like in your romantic life, you don't want to have that burden of like parenting someone. Like you can have kids or adopt kids or be like the world's greatest aunt or uncle or whatever, and take on that duty. But I think in your romantic life, you don't want to burden yourself with nurturing and teaching in that regard. Like I think the ideal is to be like as mature and developed as you can be, and then having someone that matches that energy. So I just feel like there's 2 people in his life. I feel like one is male, one is female. Like, so there's like a friend or a work related person. It feels like a work related person / friend. And then there was this romantic partner, like Princess of Cups type of person who's like less mature, who's offering love and like trying to be alluring and like, look at me, you know. I don't know if it's just me, but in this card, you know how like it looks kind of like she sought a breast augmentation or something like that. I'm sure that wasn't the intention of the artist when they made this deck, but okay, so that's a long description of the first card. All right, and then we have Stay Focused, Katumi. I love his eyes. Like, check that out. Like, so peaceful and intense. I don't have my glasses on, but hi guys, and I can see that you're Emma Watson, so I'll do that next time. Thank you for the suggestion. All right, so yeah, so when somebody is like really spiritually advanced, as I would say, like Big Sean is doing a really good job of being there in certain ways, like very at a high level in certain ways. Like there's some ways in which there's room, you know, sort of exciting room to grow. Like I'm not saying that in a critical way at all. It's like, you know, it's like you, for example, let's say you spent years becoming like really athletic. You know, you don't really have time to do like a bunch of other stuff at the same time. Like I just feel like he brought like one level of his sort of whole spiritual wheel up really high, and then he has like, he can address other areas like one by one in his lifetime, which will be a fun project and discovery for him. Perhaps like love life is one area in which we just talked about, like that he could develop more spiritually. So he's being supported to like stay focused, because when you're doing well, like there's tons of people who want like a piece of you for whatever reason. And in order to like cut the noise out, to like not live in the noise, like if you I'm not like the matrix scholar or anything like that, but like make sure your mind isn't like in the 3D all the time, like as the place from which you make your decisions. It's like you go back to your connection with God and go like kind of figure out like what's the next step, and then you go in life and like do that or contribute that, instead of not meditating and just going off of like what random people come at you saying. So it's important because he has a lot of people around him. Sorry, my hair is going crazy. I want to take my glasses off. So, he needs to stay focused and go from the place of meditation first and then out into the world all the time. Like, so what you're creating is for the best for everybody. Because it's like God knows where all the puzzle pieces go. So you don't want to be like wasting your time putting random puzzle pieces in the wrong spot. We're trying to force them in. Okay, there's that. Then we have take charge of the situation. Like here, Moses. I mean, I watched a really long documentary about like the parting of the Red Sea, like that there's actually like a spit of like land under the water, like 4 feet under the water, like in this one spot. And perhaps it was possible at some time during the cycle of the year that gets exposed, whatever. But like, you know, it would still take intuition back then because they didn't have like televised weather reports to know when is a good time to like cross that like land thing in the Red Sea. Anyway, so but it, you know, it's like a take charge kind of like vibe. Like we gotta go, even if he knew, like, even let's say, even for argument's sake, let's say like Moses just knew like what day is a good day to cross, as opposed to being like blessed with the occasion. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying like let's, for argument's sake, like go with that. He still had to take charge and go like, we're going now. Like I know there's 2 feet of water, but just trust me, we can make it across, whatever. And but you know, I do believe that like miracles can happen, and you know, if we pray and stuff, like there's like an easier, quicker route that appears. So I feel like in Big Sean's situation, he needs to like have faith that he knows enough, that his intuition is like on point, and that he can like himself take charge. Like he doesn't need a committee of like 5 people to say like it's okay to do this now. Like he's a leader, you know. So embrace that. Like, yeah, you might be younger than other people in the business. You might, for whatever message you want to put across, like yeah, it's like his, because he can stay focused and be like the leader that he is, like that's good. And then there's the message to retreat into nature, and I get chills saying that. So I'm just gonna look at this card for a second in an unfuzzy way. Yeah, so I feel like he has, you know how you can, like, if you're intuitive, you can get like different versions of messages and stuff. Like, you know how like they say like fairies are like people, they're just like one step up in terms of their frequency. So they're like invisible to the naked eye, but they still have like personalities and bad moods and revenge, and like they're like people very much. but they are also more connected spiritually in terms of like being less individuated. Like the more spiritual you are, the more your mind is like connected with God's will, and that kind of becomes like your only idea, you know. So some like the fairies are like us, but they're more connected. Like it's like in that movie Avatar, I guess, like where the people are all like blue and giant and stuff, where they can just like touch a plant and just like download the necessary information, like, so sorry, I keep like, maybe there's on his part, like even though he's obviously like a singer and writing lyrics and like good with his voice, I feel like some of these intuitions and stuff, like it's cool, heavy duty messages he gets are hard for him to express, and maybe that's why he's getting these messages of like take charge of the situation, like be a leader and stay focused, like believe yourself. So I feel like when he's in nature, like he can like hear like fairy messages and like earth spirit energies, if you want me to use that word instead. Because like for me personally, like I live in Montreal and there's some really old trees here, not a lot, but there's some like near the Parc Mont-Royal and also in La Fontaine Park. And like the ones at La Fontaine are so big, you need like 3 people just to hug it and stuff. They have like amazing advice. Like if you can just relax your mind and like hear the advice of trees, especially older trees, like it's pretty heavy duty. Like, and the advice comes off like a tree would think, their consciousness is like really steady and grounded. So they're going to give you like steady and grounded advice. But I feel like anytime anytime Big Sean spends in nature is time well spent, and also like more effective to a person than like talking to a human or like getting, let's say you wanted like advice or like, how some people go see a counselor or something like that. Like it's similar to that, where like the counsel you get from nature is like super valid and fun. Like it has an element of like, because like nature is about like transforming the energy of the sun into various expressions of like plants, and like it's really quite beautiful. It's very highly creative and joyful. So that's nice. I feel like just before I pick up the next card, I feel like there, he could be very, because he's strong-willed, it could be a little bit intimidating. But he has these other, I feel like if you can interact with him on a level of mutual respect that doesn't like step over into his line, like you're not trying to manipulate or suggest anything. You're just like, I appreciate you, like what, from my space, from my kingdom, like, then it can be like a nice exchange. Okay. And then we have Fairy Stone. I'm open to receive all the goodness the universe has to offer me at all times and in all ways. So Fairy Stone is here to, and it says good fortune. So Fairy Stone is here to support his good fortune. And the message is like having like no defenses against what God wants to send you. Like I'm open to receive all, like not just some, all of the goodness that the universe has to offer me at all times and in always. So it's like 24/7, like whoosh, I trust the universe, bring it, like all of it, So if you're allowing all of it to come, and that means you don't have even 1% defense against it. So if, let's say, as I was saying at the beginning of the reading, you have a couple of characters like, where's that card? You have a couple of characters like in this woods that are like have a slightly darker energy. Those people are kind of blocking a couple of blessings there, and so it's like for Big Sean, he has to kind of mentally like own his own space and not allow those two people's ideas or pressures to influence at all, like his own inspiration, like his, his own mission and stuff. Okay. And then we have, it's like such a heavy reading, like there's so much energy involved in this reading. It's crazy. Because like he has interesting energy, and then I feel like his fans have interesting energy too. Like there's a lot of like, it's like a soul group that has a lot of important messages to relay in their lifetime collectively. He's one part of that, and it's like in a timely manner, almost like emergency workers, if you can say that, like a group of people who have come in strongly to represent like a new way of thinking, like living, in strength, authenticity. Like it's cool, it's intense, but it's really like an angel army or something like that. An army can feel kind of like, it's an army, so it's not just all flowers and candy. Like they're gonna quickly change your idea. Like if you think of a soldier holding a sword, and if you think of, in terms of tarot, like the sword representing communication, like quick communication that might be like abrupt, it's kind of like that, where there's like they're bringing forth like a sudden, strong information that like switches it up. Because like there've been, I think, we all kind of feel, I think, that the world has been going down a certain path for a long time, and the people who have been in charge kind of feel like, comfortable in their easy chair of like domination and stuff, and it's like they're going to realize that like the entire world is like becoming independently authentic and independently like their own kings and queens, and they can't even pretend anymore to like have power over anything. Like, and what's nice about the internet is it gives like, assuming you can afford internet access, which not everybody can, but it flattens, like it makes, cable TV irrelevant and whatever. Like everybody has like an equal voice, you could say. I'm just going, this could be a long reading, so I'm just going off. Okay. As I breathe deeply, I feel myself thrive. Thriving is as natural as breathing itself. By relaxing often and breathing deeply, your natural thriving is enhanced. So it's like when you relax, let's say, when you relax, you allow, okay? Because you're not like, when you're not relaxed, you have some sort of defense mechanism up. Something is like activated within you. And then when you relax that, you allow your body to just flow and like become more healthy. You're allowing, like, instead of being like the transmitter of information and boundaries like you're receiving because you're passive at that moment. So again, there's this message of allowing, like being 100%, like allowing God to, like, you know, you could say source energy, God, the universe, the creator, like you're allowing that to take over, and breathing deeply, you know, it's like one way to relax. All right. We have, I'm a physical extension of creative, non-physical energy. You're so much more than the physical body you've come to know as you. You're source energy. You're focused on the leading edge of thought. In this powerful now, you hold the key to allowing the source that is you to flow. The better you feel, the more you're allowing that connection. I mean, it's kind of like written a bit in a bit of a complicated way, but basically, like when you acknowledge that like God or source energy isn't like outside of you, it's, you're a part of it, it's part of you, and it's like staying present with that allows source to flow and like kind of take charge through you, you know. And the more you allow that to flow, and the more it improves your mood as a result, because you have faith that it's like real and it's happening and you can feel it. You're in allowing that connection, and you're allowing things to come in for you. It's like it's like, let's say you're in a bad mood or something happened, and you're like focusing on that, and you're like, you know, like, but like focusing on that versus relaxing and allowing. And it's like, maybe that person, that job, that situation was meant to flow out of my life so that something better could come in. And if I spend my whole day focusing on like how lame it is that something ended, and just allow, you know, and you're in the moment, then you can really see and feel like, what's the beautiful next step in my life, you know, like, so not, in terms of this advice for Big Sean, it's, yeah, and sorry, I gotta throw these on again. Yeah, so the creativity is like a wonderful, if you're like housing God's energy in the physical body, you're an extension of that non-physical energy. And it causes you, if you're connected with it and being in the moment and not like stressing about yesterday or tomorrow, then you're allowing that flow and like that creativity to come in and color your day, color your life, which is like really beautiful. Okay. So this is nice. Okay, so I feel like these two cards came up from the mini Rider-Waite. The Sun, which is like the best, kind of most fun card in the deck, and the King of Cups. So I kind of feel like these represent his personality. He understands, like, I am joy. Like, I'm alive. I'm joy. I'm like authentic. Like when figures in tarot like have no clothes on, they're being authentic, and he's like, also his inner child is celebrating. And he's writing on like spirit, like if an animal is white, like they're in the tarot, like it's like spirit is guiding you and supporting you. I mean, anyone can have this mentality, you know, if you're able to allow your inner child to rejoice. If you're appreciating like the world and seeing the best in the world and that things are abundant, like even if right around you right now things don't feel abundant, if you have the awareness that abundance exists somewhere in the world or that it's possible, if you see other people experiencing abundance, then it's possible for you too. Like ideally everyone would be and feel abundant, but it really has to do with your awareness. I should plug in my computer. Oh, it's okay. 58%. All right. So yeah, so he's just like passionately waving his flag of like, I can do it, joyfully, guided by spirit. Like, it's not hard work if we give all the work to God or like to the universe to sort out, and then we just kind of ride along going like, wee, as opposed to you're feeling alone and overthinking every single step, and like, you can't have this feeling unless you're 100% trusting God or source energy or the universe, like to love you and lead you correctly. And also he's mature in his heart space. But like, let's say when I look at this card, like, how it's like his throne it creates like an island in the sea, So it's not everybody that's going to want to get their feet wet coming up to this king. Some people are too, like, they just want their money, or like they just want, like, whoever interacts with him has to like be emotionally open and unafraid. And so it might not be like every regular kind of person that can interact with him. They have to be like real and brave in terms of their emotional openness or maturity. Like, he doesn't need everybody to be mature, let's say, but they have to be like at least comfortable hearing about his emotions, for sure. And he has a lot to offer in terms of that, in terms of heart and emotion and stuff like that. He's a little bit wary of like stuff that happened in the past, but sort of like this distant ship that looks red here. But that's not stopping him from like owning his present moment and his present status as someone who's like, you know what, like maybe I learned something from that and it made me who I am today, and I own my mistakes, I own whatever happened, and he's not beating himself up about it, and he's offering his wisdom as it is in this present moment, unapologetically, which is good. I get so many chills like during this reading. It's like I need a winter jacket on or something. All right. Then we have the Two of Cups. And we have the Eight of Swords that came out together. So maybe this is about a relationship that he's in. He and somebody else offered their cup of love to each other that he felt guided to do. And that resulted in some hard lessons. But like I said in the King of Cups card, like we learn a lot, like we become more defined, like our heart becomes more beautiful and perfect through these experiences. And it's like, it's all well and good to be in a relationship with another human being, but they're not like perfect in God's expression all the time. Like they have flaws, and they have like family, like a sort of hereditary personality, like that you would have gotten from your parents, or like it's people are great, but they're not like perfect. So you're gonna learn something or other, that's kind of tough from people. But you also, there's also a wealth of wisdom, and maybe love happened like during the relationship too. But you can't like. I think it would be foolish to think like any one person will never like break your heart, or what you have to do is, instead of being defensive about your heart, is have a different point of view about love. And some people believe heavily in like today's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. It'd be interesting to like read up on Saint Valentine, and what his message was, other than chocolates and $10 bouquets of roses and stuff. They probably cost more than that, actually. I haven't bought flowers in so long. Anyway, I don't know the market. So yeah. So instead of having that like codependent kind of idea about love, like, oh, you're a piece of me, or like, who am I without you, or all that stuff. Like, that's not the good kind of love. Like, if you have unconditional love, that's the real thing. And then that's when you don't need the other person to be perfect, because you're complete. You're complete in knowing that like the universe is love, like God is love, like 100%. And anything else is just like you being creative with that notion, and kind of like seeing what it feels like to like step outside of truth, just because it's interesting to you. But yeah. And then when you're operating in unconditional love, then you're not being like toxic towards other people, and you're also kind of not allowing them to like mess you up too hard. So I feel like in right now for Big Sean, he's good learning this stuff. Like he's approaching things from like a positive point of view. He's like owning his, his heart kingdom, as it were. And he's making like beautiful offers to people that he feels guided to be with. And he's learning some lessons, and if you think of these lessons as God talking to you and teaching you how to like refine, not to give you pain, but to give you more connection, more joy, more insight. Like, it's kind of like my examples are like whatever, but it's like the Karate Kid teacher going like, go paint the fence, and you're like, why am I painting this fence? And then finally it's like, then you got like the moves. Pardon my martial arts abilities, but yeah. So it's not really about like this person, like, oh my God, like, they're the only one for me, whatever. Like, it's more about like, it always comes back to like your relationship with God, your relationship with your awareness, acceptance of that spirit within you. You know what I mean? So these people that are like beautiful and like hot and fun or whatever come into your life just to fine tune that your relationship, spiritual relationship. And you have to be like when these people come into your life, you have to be like, okay, am I ready? Like, you might need to do like a warm-up lap before like, know that this could be the outcome, and you know what I mean? And keep your eye on the ball, which is like your relationship with source. And if you follow your intuition, you're less likely to like trip over yourself on this romantic path. So I feel like right now, Big Sean is going through like some kind of like hard lessons romantically, which if you look at it from a spiritual perspective, if you look at it through the eyes of unconditional love, it's just fine-tuning yourself with the help of like a teacher that came in, and maybe the teacher's really cute. So it makes it a little less boring to be in class. Maybe I'll jump over to, since we're talking romance, I'll pick up these cards. These are a bit silly. I don't know if it's too early in the morning for you for these cards, but the Hierophant. There's a bunch. Okay, Hierophant, the Hermit. So that's like two major arcana cards, so it's like heavy message there. Then we have the Knight of Swords. Sorry for these drawings, whatever. At least they're not pictures. And the Seven of Wands. I'll just read your comments and say, oh, thanks. Okay, thanks for your comments, guys. It's nice that you're tuning in. So, yeah, so he's used to, having his choice. Maybe he's okay with having a lot of attention rather than just one person. Anyway, but aside from that, like even if he's just dating one person, he's got his eye on the ball, like spiritually, and maybe he does understand, like, romance and sex, like, is there. It's part of my life, but like, look how he's like looking straight ahead. He's not looking at them. He's being kind, like his hand is like on her hair, and he has like feelings, but he's highly focused on like being king in his kingdom, fatherly, like a leader in terms of like how relationships should go. Like, so these two like swans mate for life. So he knows what's right. He knows the difference between right and wrong. So like if a person were to be with him, they would know that there's this aspect to him that's like a stand-up guy, that doesn't mean he doesn't have a lot of options, but he's like has some, he knows right from wrong. Let's say that. Then we have the Hermit. So he enjoys his time with God, like contemplating, focusing, and he enjoys his romantic time too. But like there's a balance, I feel like, between the two, and like he values the relationship he has with God just as much as he values relationships with people. And like in love with the wisdom that comes from sitting in the darkness, looking for the light, looking for the spiritual wisdom that comes from just like being passive, like this card was talking about, like relaxing yourself so that you're able to receive. Because if you like, let's say you go, let's say you're a business person going into a meeting, and you're like, you already have your like list of items you want to express, and you're just like, you get in there and you're like, it's like, are you being relaxed? Are you being in the moment? Maybe just discover what comes, like just discover the moment at first. It's like good that you have some ideas of what you want to talk about, but like, what's the magic of the moment right now? And make that a part of your life. Allow that relationship to strengthen within you, and then you can reflect that sort of perfection in your romantic sexual life, like whatever. Then we have the Knave of Swords. This is like a really ridiculous card. No offense to the artist or the maker of this deck. Like, a lot of people really enjoy this deck, and I do find it good to clarify readings with, but like certain cards in the deck make me giggle. I think that's reasonable. Okay, so so I'll just let you look at that for a second, and then I'll read it. All right. Yeah, so I feel like, you know how, like, anyway, I'm not gonna get into like gender stuff, because like, but I'm just saying, like, in this case, we have a feminine character and a masculine character, and the feminine character can be like see how big this sword is, and she's also leaning on it. So you could say she talks too much, and like, and in an awkward, like, it's not like a fine, like, very sharp sword that where you could just wave it and like a scarf, like in the bodyguard, like splits, and it's like, it's like a heavy, awkward sword that I wonder if she could. Oh, she looks pretty strong. I guess she could like wave it around, but I would personally have a hard time being like effective with that as heavy a sword. That is to say, like, I feel like he's kind of doesn't really know how to handle someone who has like so much to say about like stuff that is not like wise. And you can get that when you date like younger people than yourself or less mature people, but like she feels like she's owning it in terms of like her appearance, and like sort of feels like that gives her a free pass to like awkwardly be like annoying. And he's kind of like, I don't even know where to start with this person. Like, I'd rather talk to her. I'd rather just deal with her body than talk to her face to face. So it is what it is. Like, it depends on why you get involved with people romantically or sexually, like, and I guess if he's gonna date like beautiful young women, there's gonna be an element of this, like, whether what comes out of their mouth is a bit annoying. I know there's some guys like who are, under 40 who prefer hanging around women who are over 40, like for that very reason that they're not going to say a bunch of like stupid stuff. And then we have the Seven of Wands. Okay. I feel like here, there's the choice between like, maybe there's people like this in his life, and then there's people like this in his life who are more like, I have high standards for relationships. Like this is someone who will come over at 3 a.m. if you send them an Uber. And then this other romantic option is someone who's like, I'm the queen of my life and come correct, like, kind of thing, and more like marriage, seeing themselves as projecting themselves as like marriage material, whatever. But then I feel like he's a bit like half enjoying spending time with people like this, but like also it seems overly complicated to like be himself and also like make this person feel all those things that they want to feel. It's like, I feel respected, I feel honored, I feel, it's just like, oh my gosh, like maybe this is like a bit easier even though they're annoying, or so there's sort of like this variety type of like people offering things to him, and I kind of feel like unless he gets, where's that Hermit card? Unless he gets clear first on what he wants, how he wants to express himself like romantically first, then this kind of stuff is going to seem like taking up too much time, headspace, too much work, like whatever. People have to realize that like Big Sean knows what he's doing. If you love him unconditionally. You let him like decide what he wants for himself. And if he comes to you, if he comes to you offering you love and you're ready to offer love, then very good, But you don't want to be playing games like trying to be manipulative one way or the other, trying to harness his energy and like, it's like love, really like good love is like being someone's best friend since childhood. And it's like, you don't need to marry that person. You're just so grateful that they're in your life, whether they're living with you or not. You're just like, if you really love someone and they start a family and they're happy, it's like, I'm so happy that you're happy. And if it works out for whatever reason that you end up together with that person, it's like, I'm so happy we're happy. Like, it's the same thing. It don't be controlling. Don't be like trying to harness somebody's power through like being like like these two people. I don't know. I already talked about them. So, all right, we got 4 more cards left. I did look at my phone a second ago, 2 minutes ago, and it was 11:11. So that's nice. I feel like it's possible for him with his level of discipline to have really quality relationships, but he really needs to start the day off, from this perspective, centering himself and asking God, like, what's my next move, and then following that. I mean, I heard some other readers say like with intuition, there's like the 5-second rule, like when you drop your toast with jam on the floor, like you have 5 seconds to pick it up and eat it or whatever before it's bad. But the same thing with like intuition. It's like before your doubts can like take over. I'm not saying I pick up jam off the floor. I'm just saying like that's like a saying. I probably would get a new piece of toast, but it's important to, if you trust your intuition, to just go with it. Like, even because it's like I've had times in my life where I grew up kind of shy and like I didn't have people around me going like, you're so awesome, you can do anything. Like I had to kind of like create that within my own mind. Like it was a long-term renovation project on my own mind, and so it's like sort of like, no, I'm like losing track of my thought. So it's like, it's important to Oh yeah, the 5-second rule. So don't allow like the Hoover Dam of like past thoughts and fears and stuff just to pour all over your intuition, like your next move that you feel like God is showing you. Just do it. And the times that I've taken that advice, even though it goes against like my past experience, like for instance, someone told me in college, it's like, I see you doing a radio show, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm way too shy. Like I can't even stand the sound of my own voice, like at that time. And but then I had that in the back of my mind because I knew she was like highly intuitive, and I was like, okay, well, if it comes up, I'll do it. And then it turned out like this woman from the community radio station came into my class at art school. I was taking like a sound art class, and she's like, who wants to do like a sound art show? And me and this other guy, Lucas, raised our hands, and then we decided like instead of fighting over it, we would do the show together. And then it just took me down this other path that was so wonderful. I met like amazing people, and it just brought me out of like my, thoughts of like what I could do, my potential, and it just totally went somewhere else. So I highly advise, like if you feel like your intuition is good, or someone whose intuition is good, and if they give you advice and it resonates with you or gives you kind of joy, like, then go for it, Okay, I'm really like rambling. This is a really long video. Okay, let me just have 4 more cards left. So then we have this Son of Cups. This is really beautiful. This kind of looks like his music video, right? Yeah. So he's pretty comfortable being the expression, like, one of like God's expressions, and just being that. And it's not that complicated. It's just like I'm like allowing God's energy to flow through me without a filter. And that makes like the birds in the sky happy, and the seals on the rocks happy, and the flowers open. It's all good. That's nice. And then we have the 3 of Wands. So I feel like when I look at this card, like that creates this kind of like really real abundance in his life, that where he is able to share his gifts with others. And it's something that's like deeply meaningful to him to be in this position. It's not something he takes for granted, and to be that person to give sustenance and gifts to like people around him, his family, friends, like and people who are important to him. It's like he ripped the paper of like what other people told him was possible, and was just like, nope. I'm going through to the abundance, and I'm gonna like share my gifts, and it's gonna be powerful and real and like right now. And that's really cool. It's very intense. It's like I like how he had the bravery to see his potential unapologetically, and just go like, that barrier doesn't exist, or I can rip that barrier. Like, it's weak. Whatever is blocking God's will is weaker than God's will, so it can feel like paper to like rip through it and get to the other side. That's cool. Then we have these 2 cards. This card jumped off the table earlier in the reading, and I looked at it, but these 2 came out together. So I'm gonna see. My dog is like crying now. I'll have to. Okay. Wait just one second. So if you think of, the Ten of Swords, it's just like, oh my gosh, like I can't handle it anymore. Or if you look at it like all these situations that were difficult created this sort of pattern, this like artwork, this, wisdom. So I feel like he may have gone through like a lot of difficult experiences, but he's seeing them like in the big picture and where everything kind of fits together in perfection, and how it like helped him. Yeah, and then we have the Princess of Cups. We have her, it's like feminine energy. There's swans, which indicate like mating for life. There's a turtle. It's like patience. A whale, which is like highly intuitive, strong, like long living. Like this like real effectiveness in the realm of the heart. So in this case, I feel like, we all have like the masculine and the feminine within us, like the giver, the receiver, the intellect, the nurturing, all these different aspects. And ideally, like they're both really balanced in you, regardless of gender. So I feel like this is the feminine aspect of his energy that is like really comfortable mastering, giving like this kind of love energy that's like deep and meaningful and patient and exciting and unpredictable and like all those things that like water can be, So long story short, Big Sean seems like a very interesting person who has a sense of discipline, and that if he doesn't allow people to like distract him too much with their will of how they want things to go or how they want to like harness his energy, if he keeps going back to like be centered with God and like what's the next step, God, and then doing that beautiful thing and that like up leveling like himself and everyone around him, fearlessly moving forward without allowing relationships to like drag him down or keep him in place. Like if people love him, then they love him unconditionally, and they'll be like his childhood friend who's like always there for him, instead of like, why did you go out and record till 4 last night? Like, what I mean? Like he has a purpose in his life, and that should be honored. And if you truly love someone, you'll let them be who they want to be. Okay. All right. Well, I thank you for tuning in and listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for, spiritually for Big Sean to allow us to look at these energies. Yeah. And major space out right there. And I saw in the comments that the next person to do a reading on is Emma Watson. So I appreciate your feedback on that. And I look forward to hanging out with you guys again. And I wish you, sincerely wish you like a big, warm heart, like happy Valentine's Day. And yeah. All right, take care. Bye.